All right, it's now official. For the first time in 25 years, an undisputed heavyweight champion has been crowned. And if you watch this fight, you know that it happened in extremely dramatic fashion. This was not a fight without its own set of iconic moments and controversies. And in this video, I'll be breaking down exactly what happened. Let's get into it. Okay, so if you watch my last video, or really any of my videos having to do with the heavyweight division in boxing, you know that I am a big-time Tyson Fury fan. And truth be told, while I did ultimately predict that Tyson was going to be able to get the job done, I always thought if there was one guy in the heavyweight division that had what it took to dethrone Tyson Fury, it was going to be Alexander Usyk. There was much made about the weigh-in, seeing as how Tyson Fury came in looking a little bit slimmer than usual, weighing in at around 13 pounds less than what he usually weighs. And then we had the exact opposite when it came to Alexander Usyk, who came in about 13 pounds heavier than what he usually weighs. So from the start, you could kind of tell that both guys were trying to tailor both their game plans and their physiques to what the other guy's strength was. And I think in this process, Tyson Fury made what ultimately was maybe his biggest mistake in the fight by reading in too deeply to that body shot / low blow that happened in the Dubois fight, which caused a lot of people to think that the secret to beating Usyk, his one true weakness, was if you go to the body, he's liable to get hurt. And again, like I said in my last video, I kind of had a feeling that that was going to be part of Tyson Fury's game plan. And I thought that it was probably going to be a bit of a mistake, because as much as people want to talk about how Usyk was on the ground for so long after that body shot or low blow, depending on who you ask, that I think a lot of people kind of forgot about the fact that the ref immediately called it a low blow, and Usyk was on the ground for a long time because he had the opportunity to stay down for a long time without any consequences. And if we're being realistic, in a fight of this magnitude, the guy is not going to go down as easily and is not going to stay down as long if he even does get knocked down by a body shot. All that being said, this from the opening bell was a very close fight. From the opening bell, we saw that Usyk has that speed advantage that he tends to have over heavyweights, and that extends into this matchup with him and Tyson Fury, even though Tyson Fury has some of the faster hands at heavyweight. And then here we see from pretty early on in the fight, Tyson Fury with that game plan to be heavy and just throw hammers to Usyk's body, thinking that eventually one of them has got to be enough to put Usyk down, which unfortunately was not the case tonight. Failing to land with enough power to do some real damage to Usyk. And then you see him bringing the uppercut up high. I get the feeling that Usyk was hurt to the head a couple times in this fight, but his resilience is just unbelievable, especially going up against guys that hit as hard as heavyweights. And here we see Tyson Fury getting absolutely cracked by that perfectly placed left hand by Usyk. Tyson Fury kind of cruising to a victory for a solid few rounds in the middle of this one. Got a little too cute, as he tends to do, leaving his hands down. And then Usyk, again, so underrated, one of the best boxers in the world, the punches, the timing, the placement, the speed. And then here's where the real controversy comes into this one. Usyk's camp extremely frustrated that this was not considered a TKO right here. But let's be honest, is it even a Tyson Fury fight if he doesn't almost get knocked out? Tyson Fury, one of the most resilient fighters in the heavyweight division we've ever seen. I mean, on one hand, you can argue he doesn't have much of a chin since he's always getting hurt, but at the same time, when you see some of the perfectly placed, perfectly timed shots that he's taken from not just Usyk, who realistically is a cruiserweight, but guys like Deontay Wilder, Francis Ngannou, and then he just rises from the dead and keeps going. Ultimately, I don't think it would have been the right move to call that a stoppage. I mean, let's call it what it is. Tyson Fury, was he hurt? Yes, but somehow, some way, found a way to stay on his feet and was very much alive for the remainder of this fight. I think the referee giving Tyson the chance to keep going gave us, the fans, an even more dramatic and even more interesting battle for the undisputed crown, which, at least for me, I'm happy with. And there was a couple times later in the fight where Tyson Fury was able to land bombs, hurting Usyk again, and then Tyson Fury just being an absolute madman, putting his hands down again, taunting Usyk. And in the end, when it came time to read the scorecards out, I had a feeling I knew how this one was going to go. I actually scored this one live while watching it, and the conclusion that I came to was an argument can be made for a draw. There were a couple close rounds in there, some swing rounds that if you give a couple of those to Fury, you might end up in a draw. And I think a lot of the fans would have been happy with the draw. It makes the rematch more interesting since, because of the rematch clause, we're getting a rematch anyway. But ultimately, if I'm being totally honest, I had it exactly how the third judge had it, which was Usyk coming away by 1 round. And unfortunately for Tyson Fury, that standing 8 count was probably the difference. That was the 1 point advantage that went to Usyk. sealing the win and ultimately making Alexander Usyk the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. And not just the undisputed heavyweight champion, but only the second guy ever to be undisputed in 2 separate divisions. And when you really look at Usyk's record, when you look at the amazing fight against Tyson Fury in which he came away with a split decision victory, the stoppage of Daniel Dubois, the back-to-back victories over Anthony Joshua, the knockout over Tony Bellew, the majority decision over Mares Briedis, and that 2-division undisputed status. And keep in mind, it's not just 2 different divisions. It's cruiserweight to heavyweight, the biggest weight gap that exists in combat sports in general. As much as I wanted my guy Tyson Fury to get the victory, not only did Usyk cleanly and fairly come away with the victory, Usyk might have just stamped his ticket in the GOAT conversation in boxing when you look at his record and achievements in totality. So all in all, we might have just seen one of the most difficult and entertaining tests that exists out there in the boxing universe for Alexander Usyk, one of the greatest boxers that has ever walked the earth. So what's next? Anthony Joshua was essentially ringside for this one. I'm assuming that what Turki Al-Sheikh had up his sleeve was, with a Tyson Fury victory, you set up an insane battle between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, 2 of the biggest boxing superstars in the world, in a fight that probably would have been the first heavyweight championship fight to crack 1 million pay-per-views in some time. But with Alexander Usyk throwing a wrench into all this, and in all likelihood, Usyk probably coming away with the victory in a rematch, and if he doesn't, let's say Tyson Fury wins the rematch, I mean, how can you not have a trilogy? So Anthony Joshua, unfortunately, is probably going to be put on ice for a little bit, and from this point forward, the heavyweight division in boxing is completely owned by a guy who spent most of his career fighting at 200 pounds. I mean, who would have thought? In the day and age where heavyweights are bigger and stronger than ever before, it's a guy whose dimensions are more like the heavyweights of the past that's able to come in and just essentially dominate the division. Let me know in the comments below, what did you guys think of this fight? And yeah, thanks for watching.